It's 7 o'clock, regular.
Collier Wise. Here. Erickson. Here. Holland. Here. Humphrey. Here. Mines. Here. Price. Here. Sorensen. Here. Ward. Powell. Here. Paulson. Here.
Please stand for the I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next up, minutes, we have minutes from June 19th regular meeting and June 19th special meeting. Motion second to approve both sets of minutes. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Adoption of the agenda, John and Mike, no conditions with reference to the agenda. Seeing none. Motion second to approve the agenda as printed. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Under visitors to be heard, addressing the council. First is addressing the council, so use the microphone at the podium. Please raise your hand to be recognized. Go to the podium, state your name and address. Items that are not on the agenda, members of the public may speak under visitors be heard on any topic not on the agenda. Remarks are limited to 5 minutes and no decision will be made at this time. For agenda items, public testimony will be taken at the beginning of each agenda item after the subject has been announced by the mayor and explained by staff. Any citizen who wishes may speak one time for 5 minutes on each agenda item. Public testimony will then be closed and the topic will be given to the governing body for possible action. At this point, only city council members and staff will discuss the current agenda unless a council member moves to allow another person to speak and there is unanimous consent from the council. Questions from council members, however, may be directed to staff or members of the public to the presiding officer at any time. At this time, we have a proclamation recognizing July as Park and Recreation Month. Tom, if you read that, please.
Designation of July as Parks and Recreation Month. Whereas park and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout this country, including Vermillion, and whereas parks and recreation is vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our community, ensuring the health of all citizens, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of our community and region. And whereas Vermillion's park and recreation programs build a healthy and active community that aids in the prevention of chronic disease, provides therapeutic recreation services for those who are mentally or physically disabled, and also improves the mental and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas our park and recreation programs increase the community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas the city's park and natural recreation areas improve our water quality, protect groundwater, prevent flooding, improve the quality of air we breathe, provide vegetative buffers to development, and produce habitat for wildlife. And whereas our parks and natural recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Parks and Recreation Month. And whereas the City of Vermillion recognizes the benefits derived from parks and recreation resources, now, therefore, we, the governing body of the City of Vermillion, South Dakota, do hereby proclaim July 2017 as Parks and Recreation Month and encourage all residents to participate in this observance by being outside and enjoying our local parks and recreation centers. Dated at Vermillion, South Dakota, this 3rd day of July, 2017.
Thank you, Tom. Jim, if you would come forward, please, to receive the proclamation.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for recognizing National Parks and Recreation Month. On behalf of my staff who are sadly unable to be here tonight, I will gladly accept this and We would like to say thank you to you guys for the support that you've given our Parks and Recreation Department here in the city of Vermillion to provide a quality of life and services for our community as a whole. I'd also like to make sure that our administration here gets recognized for all the work that they do, that you guys sometimes don't get to see, but they do a lot for it. And also for our departments, light and power, streets, engineering, everybody really in this city does a lot to help our Parks and Recreation Department. So we are very grateful and thankful for that. I think in the last 4 to 5 years, again, with your support, our Parks and Recreation programs have grown. We've added new venues, we've offered new programs, and I think in the future, if your support continues, we will enhance those programs and venues. So I truly thank you on behalf of myself and our Parks and Rec staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, and thank your people.
We'll do that.
At this point, are there any people in the audience who wish to comment on anything that is not on the agenda? Anyone in the audience with a non-agenda item? Seeing none, anyone on the council have anything that's not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on then to public hearings. Item A, a special daily malt beverage and wine license for the Fraternal Order of Eagles on or about July 21, 2017 through 27, 2017 at the Prentice Park baseball field. Mike, please.
The Fraternal Order of Eagles has submitted an application for a special daily malt beverage and wine license on or about July 21st through the 27th at the Prentice Park baseball field for a ball tournament. The notice of hearing is included in the packet. As the event will be held on the city property, ordinance allows the city council to include such conditions as restrictions as the governing body would deem to be appropriate. The police chief's memo is also attached. The memo indicates through records checks the party involved with the special license reveal no alcohol-related violations or felony convictions. City staff is not aware of any problems with previous special daily licenses granted to the Eagles. The police chief has been in communication with the representative of the Eagles and recommends some parameters be established for the event. They have 5 staff members will supervise the event. Signage will be posted at the entrance gates and dispensing points. Alcohol consumption only allowed inside the fenced spectator area. No one under 21 will be served. No intoxicated person will be served. No alcohol can leave the fenced area, and no outside alcohol is allowed in the fenced spectator area. Staff will be checking all persons wishing to purchase and provide a wristband. Once they verified the age, and persons who do not have a wristband or appear to be under 21 will not be allowed. The fee of $20 per day plus the $15 advertising fee has been paid, and administration would recommend approval of the special license contingent upon complying with the police chief's recommendations and if there's any other city council conditions.
Thank you, Mike. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this?
My name is Quentin Larson, 1121 Madison Street, Vermillion. I've done this many times over at the park. The only thing I just got it tonight on the police chief's recommendation, and the only thing that would be different was the 5 staff members. And that's because we found out that putting a tent on the side doesn't work. It's just as easy to do it right in the concession stand. We just take the west side, about 2-3 feet, and that's for the beer, and everything else is candy and stuff. And when it's slow, I help sell candy and stuff, and that works out fine. But if you got 5 guys in there, nobody's going to be able to move. So that would be the only change that I could see. It's just not feasible for 5 people in that concession stand. We usually have 2, one doing the carting and one serving. But we've never had a problem. We always ban. We usually don't ban anybody that's like 40 to 80 years old. I mean, but I can't tell a 21-year-old from a 14-year-old anymore. So I can ban somebody from anywhere from 28 to 38 because I can't tell.
Well,
But we
Clint,
do ban if there's any question on the,
Clint, are the people doing the banding inside the facility, or are they outside?
no, we're inside. We're right in the concession stand.
So,
We usually, like your counter there, we take this end, the west side, just about 2-3 feet. If you want a beer, like if you're buying hot dogs and candy, he moves you down to the other end if you want a beer. You have to come down to us, so.
any thoughts on an issue with reducing the number?
It wasn't my understanding that it'd all be inside the booth. I thought you'd also have people around the perimeter where the fence is, making sure that they were staying
The
within
gate
bounds.
people, the people running the gate don't allow any coolers or anything inside the gate.
Well, to me, that would count as part of the
That'd
fence.
be part of your 5.
Yeah, but
So we're not
it's
asking for-
usually the baseball people take care of that. But yeah, if you wanted to consider that part of our 5, but yeah, there's no, when they have these baseball tournaments, they don't allow anything inside the gate, no coolers or anything, so.
Well, just for a practicality standpoint, why don't we just reduce it to 2? I feel like considering how contained the space is and the other requirements that we have and the fact that they've done this many times in the past without incident, it might just be easier to, knowing that the people at the gate will be doing other things just for the purpose of the Eagles and their planning. I think that 2 seems reasonable.
Tom?
I think because this recommendation from the police chief says 5 staff members will supervise the event's distribution and consumption of alcohol, and it doesn't say in the concessions.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, if they use some
So
of
I
them.
think you're covered as long
Yeah.
as the police chief thinks 5 is a good number wherever they're at.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we really need to change it, but that's my opinion.
Other thoughts? Does that make sense to you, Clint?
No, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. I was just saying,
Yeah, don't put 5
there's
back
not going to
there.
be 5 in the concession stand. But no, the gates are watched, and there's no coolers allowed whatsoever in the park, so,
Okay, thank you.
okay.
Anyone else have a comment or question for this? Okay, turn to council.
I would move approval with the stipulations put forward by the police chief.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve as presented, including then the points from the police chief. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thanks, Clint.
Thank you.
Item B, a special daily malt beverage and wine license for the Clay County Agricultural Fair Association on or about August 10, 11, and 12, 2017 in the Fairgrounds West Arena. Mike, please.
The Clay County Agricultural Fair Association has submitted an application for a special daily malt beverage and wine license for August 10, 11, 12, 2017 to the West Arena. This year, they've expanded it one day, going with Thursday night. They're going to look at doing some lawnmower and power wheels derby on Thursday night, and as usual, the demolition derby on Friday, and they're going to have their Barnyard Olympics and a band on Saturday. The notice of hearing is included in the packet along with the police chief's report. The police chief's report includes through a records check the parties involved with the license revealed no alcohol violations or felony convictions. Staff is not aware of any problems with previous licenses granted to the Fair Association, and administration recommend approval of the license unless the city council has any conditions or restrictions they'd want to attach to it.
Thank you, Mike. We had some discussion about this and thought that it would be appropriate to include.
Sorry, we thought it would be appropriate to include points 2 through 4 that you had on the previous idea from the chief. That it would be appropriate to include those in this.
I don't think it'd be a problem.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience wishes to comment on this item? Seeing none, council? Really? I thought you had a question. Okay. A motion and a second to approve the request with the stipulations that the police chief had on the prior item. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Under old business, we have the second reading of ordinance 1357, zone change to exclude from general business district and include in the R3 residential district the south 320 feet, excluding west 120 feet of lot 1 and south 320 feet of lot 4 and lot 19 through 21. Block 1, Johnson's Addition, Clay County, South Dakota, and to exclude from the R2 residential district and include in the R3 residential district, Lot 1, including units 1 through 4, Block 2, Johnson's Addition, City of Vermillion, Clay County, South Dakota. This property is along the west side of Elm Street between Duke Street and Alumni Street and at the northeast corner of Cottage Avenue and Alumni Street. And Jose, please.
Thank you. In July 2008, the city adopted a new zoning ordinance. This ordinance created new districts throughout the city. Several properties, as you mentioned, if I may have the map. There we go. Several properties along Cottage Street and Elm Street were rezoned at that time from the B1 General Business District to a new district that either does not allow apartments or allows only fourplexes. It should be noted, as you can see on this drawing, that roughly 75% of the land or the area to be rezoned already has buildings constructed that would meet or conform to the R3 residential district uses. These buildings would be non-conforming on the district's currently zoned, which means that if the buildings were damaged beyond 50% of their value, they could not be rebuilt on the site. This item was discussed at the June 12th Planning Commission meeting. At that meeting, a few of the residents adjacent to the property to be rezoned were present, and they expressed concerns mainly with drainage, or the possibility of the empty lot draining and further affecting the land around that area. After hearing all the concerns, the Planning Commission did unanimously recommend approval of the ordinance to rezone to the council. The council did hear this item for the first reading of the ordinance at their June 19th meeting. At that meeting, there were quite a few proponents and opponents for the ordinance. The proponents or the opponents were mainly concerned with drainage along there, similar to the Planning Commission meeting. The City Council meeting passed the first ordinance with a 5-4 vote. Most of the comments at the meeting, as I mentioned, were about drainage related to the already built properties. In this situation, drainage question between the single-family and the multifamily yards is largely a private party matter. The city would be involved as the stormwater would be discharged into the municipal system. The city addresses stormwater issues that don't involve new construction or rezoning. For example, some of these over the last few years would be the Linden Ravine project, Burbank Road between Brandon Drive and Natalie Court, and the recently completed Erickson retention pond. The question for the council at hand is whether to approve or deny the zoning request. Although the city has been and is mindful of neighborhood concerns, the issues that have been brought up are not related to the zoning, rather to land development. The current subdivision requirements will address the issues brought up with the drainage, and the other city utilities in the area have more than adequate capacity for any future development within this area. The rezoning will simply rectify a mistake that was unintentionally done when the city rezoned the area in 2008. If the issue is not rectified, the property owners have the possibility of being severely impacted in the future. Administration recommends approval of the second reading of Ordinance 1357. A roll call vote is required for the second reading of the ordinance.
Thank you, Jose. This is a public meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to comment? Yes, please.
My name is Jill Schaefer. I live at 1025 Cottage. We talked about the sewer system last time. We did not talk about the sewage system last time. And what I want to point out is that at our house on Cottage, We are the last of the sewage pipe on it. Can we look at the map for a second in front of me? The sewage, which takes away your, toilet, shower, and that ends one house up from mine. It's the highest grade possible for the neighborhood. It's almost a level line there. So you already have backup. You have over here, you're going to have the sewage be now for these buildings. We're talking about whether or not we should have people living there or whether it should be commercial. If it were commercial, you'd have a few toilets in it and you'd have the kitchen sink. You wouldn't have 64 households living there dumping. When the Al Newhart Center was rebuilt in the college, back on Dakota Street here, the entire sewage system had to be replaced there. The Dakota Street was torn up for that summer. I have a couple of rentals there, and it could not contain it. This sewage system that flows from there was built at the same time. I asked John Prescott and Jose about this last week. Built at the same time in the 70s. So you have an old sewage system there that now you have the dome dumping into, and you are now going to have 64 households dumping into it. So where the council is considering how this is going to affect my neighborhood and us living there, the council has not considered how it's going to affect the city of Vermillion when we may very likely have to put in all new sewer systems down there to accommodate this increase of people using the sewage system there. And keep in mind that we did put it in all between Cherry Street and Dartmouth, only I think it went past Dartmouth down to Clark Street. We put all new sewage systems in there. And I was asking Paul's Plumbing when it is. I think it was 2004, and that was when the university built on, and it couldn't handle it. The other thing I want to get back to was the rainstorm of Thursday, and all of you don't even remember it. It was nothing. Jose was in our neighborhood for a half hour. The police were in our neighborhood for our half hour. Cottage Street was closed. I videotaped it but wasn't able to bring it up here. I'm going to put this here. It's harder to see. These are our homes. This is Cottage Street. These are the apartments. Where I first saw Jose was parked back here at the garage in a city truck, and the runoff was a river going into Jim Fry's backyard down there, and Jose can tell you what a river it was. Further down, the fellow who was here last week who was testifying, you had another river of runoff going there. I walked it around here. It was all filled along the road, and now you came to where you want to build. And it sat there, and then as you walk down Alumni Street, all of Cottage was up to, I would say, a foot high on me, the water, standing water. It was overflowed from the banks. The cars were turning around here. It extended 3 houses down, 2 houses down, wall to wall, the entire street, back here 2 houses down, and it was all running from back here. The sewers were overflowed. Both of these streets were filled. The police sat here. Then after Jose left from here, he sat over here. This was all filled. So this isn't just, and you guys remember the rain as nothing. You've forgotten it. That's how our neighborhood was affected. So now you want to, and that was just a rain for 40 minutes on Tuesday. And you're going to put more people here instead of commercial, and there is no place for the water to go. A retention pond is not going to accommodate it. So I urge for that reason, and also to consider the effect having people instead of a commercial business would have on the sewage system that the dome runs into. And as I said, when you get to our neighborhood, it's the highest grade possible.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this topic?
Good evening.
Hi.
Monday evening. Just to address a few questions.
Would you just state your name for us?
Oh,
please,
I'm
for the record?
Brian Bear. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I just wanted to address, I agree with 90% of what Jose has told us. When I came to the last city council meeting, it was kind of an eye-opener. I didn't realize the drainage issues that was going on over there. And the only time I've ever been any time addressed was one gentleman asked me about snow, and so we started piling snow farther up and towards the other end of the parking lots. That was the only time I even knew about it. So it was kind of an eye-opener, and I didn't realize it. So I kind of reached out to some of the council members and to Jose, and I said, you know, we're dealing with two different issues here. The rezoning of the property isn't going to affect the drainage issues. It's just not going to. We're talking about something that's been there for 25 years. Those apartments have been there for 25 years. They've been built that way. Everything's been that way. They're not going to change. By not rezoning it, what it does affect is the fact that my insurance company is putting pressure on me saying if anything happens to my buildings or any of that stuff, we cannot rebuild to it. Like as Jose pointed out, we get 50% damage on those buildings, we can't rebuild on them. Now, that affects the property of that, which has been allowed for 25 years, and all of a sudden somebody's going to say, no, you can't do that after 25 years. That doesn't seem, very fair either. Now, anything that is done over there, I told them, I said, I would like to address, I've talked to some, like I said, I reached out to some of the council members. The drainage issue, we can address that, but it's a different issue than the rezoning. And when you talk about whether R3 changes that empty lot, we can't just get stuck on the empty lot. We're talking about a whole group of land here. We're talking about 3 different property owners that own land over there that are going to run into the same issue. They can never sell it because they're all R3 and they're in general business district. So I can't physically sell my apartments, neither can Scogan, neither can the other guy that owns up to the north. So there is an issue when you can't even sell your own property if you ever wanted to because of the way it's zoned. And it was perfectly fine when they were built, has been for many, many, many years. Now, to address the drainage issues, that has to be done on a whole different issue. But if general business, I could still go in there and build a business. There's nothing that says that I can't build a general business there that has several bathrooms. And as far as I knew, we paid when they did Alumni Street. Jose would know this better. I'm not a plumber. I'm an electrician. So I don't know the drainage, but I mean, we stubbed brand new sewer in that goes the other way and ties into the sewer system based upon that being at that time made for apartments. So as far as I know, we've done everything to what needs to be done to allow this. But like I say, general business, even if I wanted to, you could put a business in there that has, you could literally put a church in there that has a couple hundred people show up there every Sunday and use the bathroom all the time. Or you could put a community center or a retirement village in there that has, a bunch of old people that come in there and have coffee and play bingo. And the bathroom issue, I don't think is an issue as far as zoning. As far as drainage, that's another topic that we got to talk about. Like I said, last city council meeting was an eye-opener. I was like, I didn't know. I mean, nothing's ever been addressed to us on it. So we don't know. I mean, what you don't know, it's kind of like, how do you ever know? How can you fix it? I would never intentionally do something to harm somebody else's property, or I would never try to provoke you guys to ever vote a certain way to harm somebody else's property. I would like to address it and do some things, talk to Jose if there's some things that we can do that are within reason and that everybody can agree on. But the fact is, the rezoning of that is not going to fix that flood that she just talked about, the water. It's not going to do anything to help that. It's just not. I mean, that has to be handled somewhere, somehow, I don't know, on a different scale. I mean, it's just, something's got to be done. When we're talking about the apartments going this way, what do you do? I mean, that's something that's, like I say, separate topic for a separate day. So,
thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You bet. Anyone else care to speak?
Hi, Michelle Maloney. Ryan said everything I pretty much was planning on saying. I'm here because I'd heard about the last meeting, and I think he's right that there are two separate issues here. And when I heard that it was 75% of the property that was attempting to be rezoned was out of compliance, and this would solve that, to me, it was baffling why there was such a conflicting vote. And I'm hoping that in the time that's passed, that those who voted no can understand what Ryan's point is, that nobody wants to have drainage issues in the back, but it sounds like Ryan's willing to work with those people, and it also sounds like they're two separate issues. And so I would just encourage those of you who are voting to think about him and his insurance company and the things that he's facing, if something were to happen to one of those buildings, and none of you would want to be in his position, and he's trying to correct it. So that's all I really had to say.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll turn it to Council. John, did you have some comments?
Well, I just want to, correct something or maybe clarify something here. There was comments made about the sanitary sewer system and its capacity there. And Jose, I don't know if you have Shane's email with you, but Shane, our utilities manager, I had him do some calculations following the last meeting. And for example, the one I'm referencing is June 26. I can share with you if you need it, Jose. But an 8-inch sanitary sewer line, for example, can handle just over 490,000 gallons per day. Just over 490,000 gallons per day.
Can Jen put that picture?
Well,
I just have the map showing the utilities if you want to speak at the same time.
That's all right. I guess there's two issues. If you want to put the map up, you can show the flow. So that 8-inch, and the 8-inch goes into a 12 and then into an 18. The 8-inch alone, as I said, can handle just over 490,000 gallons per day. And I had Shane take the current flows that we have that came off of Alumni in Elm Street there. And for the month of May, and we took the water usage and assumed that all that water is going into the sanitary sewer system, which that doesn't happen. For Alumni, 1,592 gallons per day. 1,000 in a pipe that can hold 490,000. We've got capacity. The same thing with Elm Street is just over 5,200 gallons per day. 5,200 in a pipe that can hold 490,000. So we do have more than adequate sanitary sewage to serve that area, that lot. And Jose, that's the red,
Yeah, the red line.
If you want to show the flow, how that would work.
The apartments that, if this lot here were to be developed, those apartments would actually be tapping into this line right here. That's that 8-inch that you said has barely any capacity or barely any flows into it. That's a lot of capacity. Now, just for reference as far as amount of sewage, all of these apartments that you see here flow into this line here. That's also an 8-inch. So, if you said that that's about 5,000 gallons, if I heard you correctly. So this area here, even if it's 10,000 gallons that you're going to be dumping into that 8-inch, it's a minimal amount. It's just a trickle in that 8-inch line.
Thank you. Council, other comments, questions? Con?
I have a question as to, I don't know whether it's for Mr. Bear or Ms. Maloney or Mr. Dominguez, but what are the likelihood that that there'll be more concentrated residences and toilets wherever it flows to in a lot like this? And maybe that's not a good question, a fair question, but...
I guess I'll take a stab at it. I would say that depends on the developer. By ordinance, the developer can build as dense of a building as he wants, as he can. And even if, I'm sorry?
It could be bigger than a fourplex.
Oh yeah, on this, if it's zone R3, it could definitely be bigger than a fourplex. It could be a 15-plex. You can have 45 people living in this unit.
Okay.
But yeah, it could be much bigger.
I'd just like to say, because I voted against this last time, and I'd like to explain that a little bit more. When you look at the big picture of things, when you start talking about concentrating residences or renters, landowners, whatever, then you start wondering about flow. Look what we're doing up Plum, over Clark, over to Prentice. We're adding a new sewer line because it needs to be bigger because of development in the Northeast. and that's a good thing. So we're tracking these things. The main point I want to make is, yes, they are two separate issues, and I have to agree to that. But part of our public discussion in democracy is to raise ancillary issues, and we've done that. We admittedly have opened some eyes. So rest assured, I'm sure we're all going to keep an eye on future things like this, and I think that ancillary point has been fully raised, and now this is a zoning issue.
Other comments from the council? Rich, please.
I'd just like to make the statement that every time we start one of these meetings, the first thing the mayor does is say, are there anybody that has an issue that's not on the agenda? This is the ideal time to bring up sewer issues, any other issues that are not on the agenda. And if they had been addressed years earlier, a lot of this might already be resolved. We may not even have an issue at this point. So please, I encourage you and the public, if you have an issue, please bring it up. Don't wait for it, don't let it fester, don't let it get worse. Bring it up, say something to us, and we will try to take action if we can. Second of all, as has been stated very clearly to everybody, this is a zoning issue. It is, and our zoning and the way we vote for zoning is not going to change how water flows in that area. In fact, the laws have changed so much that it'll be addressed much more than it was in 2008. And that's when they were built, isn't it? I believe.
No,
That's
before
when the
that.
zone was changed.
They were built, yeah, they were built in the mid-'90s.
So anyway, please, if you have an issue, bring it up ahead.
Thank you, Rich. Other comments, questions? Okay, Brian?
I've talked to a lot of people, both neighbors that are affected and also neighbors that aren't. I've talked to other people that have nothing to do with this, just to get an outside perspective. And I would like to say that I got a phone call from Mr. Bear, and I was really thankful. I was really appreciative of it. He's opened my eyes to other issues. We've talked about some stuff. And are you really willing to sit down and talk to some of the affected homeowners to try to work out your situation? I mean, work out the problems just to make it fair for everybody? Because it's not fair to them, and it's not fair to you. And I understand that this is two different issues. It's drainage and it's zoning, but it kind of goes together, but they're separate. So how willing are you to sit down and to work with the people?
Well, I mean, as far as that issue, I'm definitely willing to sit down and listen, and if we can address something that we can come up with, but you know, what they were talking about with the drainage, with going all the way around and through the street and all the way up there, that's not, you know, some of that isn't being caused directly by everything that was mine. And, you know, I mean, I would be willing to work with people, but everybody's got to understand there's two ways of doing it. There's only one way that's going to work, and that's if everybody comes to the table in a calm and a collective manner and says, okay, what can we do to help it? And if we can do something that's going to make it 10% better, 20% better, you know, any percentage better is better. To say that we're going to get it 100% better, I think that would be, in anybody's mind, you would go, there's just no way that there's anything we can do that's going to completely wipe this away, and then the next 3-inch rain comes and somebody's got water standing in their backyard. You know, I mean, but to say that I don't want to not sit down, I would, yeah. I mean, like I said, I came to the city council meeting and I went, wow, I didn't even realize this. I mean, when you come into something and you're thinking, okay, planning and zoning said, yep, 100%, and you come in and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I didn't even know that there was that much of an issue. So to sit down and visit and come to some kind of an agreement that we can all agree on, or do something, or, you know, try to work with somebody, yeah. I mean, why would you? I wouldn't want to just close my eyes and walk away. So
thank you. Any other comments from Catherine?
I just wrote a couple things in my statement. So I feel like we have a responsibility to rectify the error that was made in the zoning and to bring into compliance these properties. I think we all feel for the residents and see how, and I can see how somebody voting yes on this could seem like we're disregarding the things that they're saying and the importance of the issues that they're raising. But I think I could speak for the whole council by saying that we are all concerned about the drainage issues that were brought to us. I think what was brought up last time was that the source of the problem seems to lie within the state's jurisdiction of the drainage ditch. Is that right, Jose?
Yeah, there's a lot of
That's really the
issues.
source of the problem, is something that lies beyond the jurisdiction of what the city can fix itself. And I feel like it would be unfair and imprudent to restrict the property owners' businesses by forcing them to continue as non-conforming uses and to essentially hold them and the vacant lot hostage until a rectifying measure could be formulated between the city and the state. But I would like to echo what was also said by Council Member Sorensen, that I'm glad that the citizens came forward and brought these issues to the table and to the attention of the council and the general public. I hope that at the upcoming Department of Transportation meeting, which is on the 25th, is that right, here in City Hall, that these same citizens can bring this issue before that meeting. And I also encourage their elected ward representatives, us other members of the council, even maybe the state legislature elected representatives to come and speak before the Department of Transportation on this issue so that they can see that it's a priority and move it to the forefront of their planning. So.
Thank you. Anyone else on the council? A motion and a second to approve. This is second reading, so we require a roll call vote, please. Jen, if you'd set the machinery for it.
The results are 7 yes and 1 no. The motion carries. Thank you. Thank everybody for their participation. Item 8A, new business. Request to close High Street from Cherry Street to the south end of the fairground from 7 a.m. on Thursday, August 10, 2017 until 5 a.m. on Sunday, August 13, 2017 at the Clay County Fair. And Mike, please.
The Clay County Agricultural Fair Association will again be hosting the annual county fair on August 10, 11, 12, and 13. They're requesting a temporary closing of the portion of High Street as it abuts the fairgrounds, as has been done in previous years. Provides for the safety of the fairgoers and additional space for the event. The request, as was stated, is from 10 a.m. on Thursday, August 10th, until 5 p.m. on Sunday, August 13th. August 13th is the day they used for cleanup activities to get it cleaned up after the fair is over. Police, fire, and EMS departments have all been notified of the closure request and found no safety issues. Administration would recommend approval of the street closing request.
I see no audience participants on this one, so council.
I move approval.
A motion and a second to approve the High Street closing August 10 through 13, 2017. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item B, engineering agreement with Banner Associates Inc. for design of Jefferson Street between East Duke Street to East Clark Street. Jose, please.
Thank you. Jefferson Street from East Duke to East Clark Street was constructed in the mid-1980s as an asphalt road. Over the years, the road has deteriorated due to poor subgrade conditions and having an inadequate pavement section for the current traffic. Additionally, the multiple utility cuts across the street offer a poor ride quality to its users. Staff has placed this segment of Jefferson Street on the city's capital improvement plan for reconstruction since 2015 with intention to complete the project in 2018. In order to complete the reconstruction of Jefferson Street, engineering plans and construction documents need to be completed and sent out to bid. The city has adopted a process to reduce a consultant's cost as much as possible. City engineering staff completes the topographical survey, and the geometric design and horizontal alignments for the project. This information is then sent to the consultant. The consultant will then complete the engineering plans, meaning annotations, vertical alignments, and cross sections, and provide these to the city engineering staff with any documentation required to complete the specifications. Lastly, the city engineering staff will put together the construction documents and engineering plans and then send the packet out to the contractors for bid. Additionally, the city has a consultant bullpen with several pre-qualified consultants able to assist the city on a variety of projects. The city requires a scope of services and costs from the consultant. Staff reviews this, and if the terms are agreeable, large project scopes are presented to the city council for consideration. If the terms are not agreeable, a different consultant on the list would then be contacted. This process of selecting a consultant follows the industry standard of choosing one based on qualifications rather than cost. Choosing a consultant based on qualifications has been proven by the American Public Works Association, the American Bar Association, the American Institute of Architects, American Council of Engineering Companies, and the American Planning Association to foster creativity and flexibility, improve the delivery of professional services, increase the value to the owner in construction and life cycle expenses, and minimize the potential for disputes and litigation. Engineering agreement with Banner Associates has followed the process stated above. The attached agreement is the scope of services and engineering costs. At this time, the city's cost will be $32,000. This will be paid out of the Capital Projects Fund. The fund will have to be revised later this year to cover the cost. Additionally, the city will also have the contract with a geotechnical surveying consultant to perform soil tests along the route of the project. This cost is estimated to be $2,500. Staff recommends allowing the city manager to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city with Banner Associates for engineering services to complete the design of Jefferson Street.
Thank you, Jose. Council? Council? And we have a motion and approval and a second to approve the engineering agreement. All in favor signify by...
Could I ask a question, please, before we vote?
What do you think, Coach?
And I've been curious about this for a long time. I'm a new guy like Brian, so I need to ask questions.
Once removed, remember?
Yeah. So, for example, tonight, later room, we have invoices. Number 11 shows an amount to Banner. Is that from something like what we're about to vote on that's been approved, excuse me, by the council, and now it's just showing up because it's been invoiced, or and maybe Mike needs to answer that, or Mr. Prescott.
I guess I'll give it another step.
Yeah.
The items from Banner, they're for roughly a little bit over $16,000. That's actually multiple projects. You have the Plum Street project in there, the Prentice Lift Station. You may have Linden Ravine. You may have
Skunk Hollow.
Yep, Skunk Hollow. You may also have. They're also doing studies for the wastewater department. So it's a multitude of different projects.
Previously approved projects.
Previously approved.
Okay.
They don't all follow this, but they are previously approved by the
because every month there's something either on here from this company or the other one, and it's anywhere from 15 to 30, and that answers my question, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item C, Business Improvement District Number 1, board member appointment. It's a 5-member board. One of the board members must be in the housing, or in the, what's the word I'm looking for? In the lodging business. And we lost the person. He moved away. And so the person that we're presenting here is Kyle Eberts, who owns the Red Roof Lodge. And so I'd like your approval of his appointment. Motion is second to approve Kyle Eberts for the board. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Got carried away there. Okay, bid openings, fuel quotes. Mike?
They're up on your screens or sitting in front of you. Quotes received for unleaded gasoline, 10% ethanol. The first from Stern Oil is $1.9388. Number 2 is unleaded gasoline regular, $2.1175. 3 is number 2 diesel fuel dyed, $1.73.22 cents. And 4 is number 2 diesel fuel clear, $2.04.22 cents. Second quote was from Brunick Service. Item 1, $1.87. Item 2, $2. Item 3, $1.71. Item 4, $2. Brunick Service would be low on all 4.
Council? Motion and second to approve the low bids for Brunick Service. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 10, City Manager's Report. John, please.
Thank you. Just an update. At the first meeting in June, I believe it was, the City Council had first reading on an ordinance, a tower zoning exception ordinance to allow telecommunications towers within 300 feet of residential zones or uses. The gentleman from the tower company was here at the last meeting and needed more time to put together his answers or to respond to some of the comments or questions. We asked, and we were aiming for July 17th, but he had to let me know whether or not before this meeting he could make July 17th. Well, the long and short of it is that he cannot make the July 17th meeting. He won't have all that information. So that ordinance will not have its second reading at the July 17th meeting. Once we have that information, we will put that out on our website and let the City Council know. Our city offices are closed tomorrow, July 4th, for the holiday. It's new. I think this is perhaps the second year. The city code does allow for the discharge of novelty fireworks on July 4th from 9 a.m. to midnight. We do have information available on the website describing what the legal fireworks are that can be discharged within city limits. The curbside recycling collection for tomorrow, Tuesday, July 4th, that is delayed until Monday, July 10th. It's kind of the pattern that we're trying to establish. If the holiday is during the day one week, then we do a pickup the next Monday. So the July 4th collection will be on July 10th. And then, as was referenced a little bit earlier on the agenda, that DOT public meeting on the South Dakota Highway 50 bypass construction project that will be here in the City Council chambers on Tuesday, July 25th from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. At this point in time, we don't have an agenda from DOT. They haven't provided one yet, but if we do receive that prior to the meeting, we'll certainly share that with the council.
Thank you, John. Any comments or questions for our city manager? Seeing none, then we'll turn to invoices payable. Comments or questions for Mike?
Second.
Motion second to pay our bills. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. We pay our bills. Bear with me. Consensus agenda. I should have Tom read this. Item A, set a public hearing date of July 17, 2017 for a special daily on-sale malt beverage and wine license for the Vermillion Area Chamber and Development Company on or about July 20, August 3, August 17, and August 31, 2017 on Rodigan Plots, half block of Market Street south of West Main Street and West Main Street as it abuts the plots for Thursdays on the plots. Item B, set a public hearing date of July 17, 2017 for a special permit to exceed permissible sound levels by no more than 50% for the Vermillion Area Chamber and Development Company on or about July 20th, August 3rd, August 17th, August 31st, 2017 from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Rodigan Plots, half block of Market Street south of West Main Street and West Main Street as it abuts the plots for Thursdays on the plots. Item C, set a public hearing date of July 17, 2017 for a special daily on-sale malt beverage and wine license for Ribs, Rods, and Rock and Roll, Inc. on or about September 8 and 9, 2017 on Main Street between Washington and Church Street, Rodican Plots, Market Street from Main to Bloomingdale Street, Austin Street from Main to Kidder, Kidder Street from Austin to half block east of Market, Court Street from Main to half block south, public parking lot at Market and Kidder, and Prospect from Main Street half block north to include any other streets closed for the events. Item D, set a public hearing date of July 17, 2017 for a special permit to exceed permissible sound levels by no more than 50% for Ribs, Rods, and Rock and Roll, Inc. on or about September 8 and 9, 2017 from 5 p.m. to midnight on Main Street between Washington and Church Street, Rodigan Plots, Market Street from Main to Bloomingdale Street, Austin Street from Main to Kidder, Kidder Street from Austin to half block east of Market, Court Street from Main to half block south, public parking lot at Market and Kidder, and Prospect from Main Street to National Street, and to include any other streets closed for the events. Item E, set a public hearing date of July 17, 2017 for a special permit to exceed permissible sound levels by no more than 50% for USD Dakota Days on Rodigan plots, half block of Market Street south of West Main Street, and portion of West Main Street abutting the plots on or about October 4, 2017 from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. for celebration of Dakota Days event with DJ. A motion second to approve the consensus agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no? Now, how are we? Motion carries.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no? We're adjourned. Thank you all.